off the bench.
Hey.
I love this. Finals and coaches changing it up a bit.
Yeah.
So.
You guys good to go?
Yeah, good to go. Geelong did it last time.
I know.
Dangerfield up front and dominated.
Oh, it wasn't even a contest.
Yeah.
Geez, you wouldn't have seen that one coming.
No.
Full-time results have come through for the under-16 grand final. Nelson Bay beat Wanderers 38.
Will history repeat in the NHRU for a second year running, where in 2016 Beaches beat Wanderers 43-18 in the qualifying final. They lost to Hamilton in the major semi, as they did this year, and then they lost the preliminary final to the Wanderers. It's Wanderers who are looking to make a fourth straight grand final this afternoon. Beaches look to make their first grand final since 2014 when they were beaten by the Wanderers. It's incredible, Steve Barretto, the similarities between this year and last year. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, this game, it's got it all, doesn't it? It's got the mixed results from the season. It's got the qualifying final that Southern Beaches just pipped Wanderers. So it's there's a little bit of needle, I would have thought, in this game, and it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out firing here, because there's a grand final spot up for grabs, isn't there?
Well, Beaches led out by Martin Delore. We believe there's been a big last-minute change for Beaches. VAR Talaleva has been taken back to has been brought back to the bench, and Tim Poesi is going to start. I'm just having a quick scan. Tim Poesi is out there in 16. So VAR will start will begin on the bench here.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a very odd choice and a very odd decision, but I know Johan's a pretty smart operator, and I'm sure he's got his reasons behind it, and I'm sure it's going to keep everyone guessing as to whether VAR is 100% fit, or if there's a tactical decision behind it. I'm not sure at this stage. We'll wait and see how it unfolds.
Well, Luke Simmons leading the two Blues out onto number 2 sports ground. It's a nice day today in terms of temperature-wise. It's 24 degrees. Probably not nice for the players. A little warm. And the wind pretty strong from the west-northwest. It's coming at about 30 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, I think I'd take this weather over. I was watching NRC this morning in Fiji, and it was 35 degrees and high humidity.
Yeah, that's right.
So
give
me 24 degrees with a bit of a breeze any day, mate. It could be worse.
You're exactly right. Brendan Farrer just officiating the coin toss here between Delore and Simmons. Looks as though they're going to run the same way as their position at the moment. So Beaches with the wind behind them in this first half. The Wanderers running into it.
Yeah, I know we talk about wind every time that we come down here, and for the last few weekends it's certainly been an issue, and something that's obviously plays a big part in the game, and ideally you'd like it not to be there, but I suppose you've got to play what you've been given, and I think the team that ends up coming out on top is the team that adapts to it better. So I think that's initially going to be a start, and obviously Wanderers have got the breeze at the backs for the start of this half.
So one of these two sides is 80 minutes away from a grand final. McCormack gets us underway. It's a deep kickoff.
Oh.
The question is, Beaches, they've beaten the Wanderers twice out of the 3 matches they've played so far this season. Can they make it a third, Steve?
Oh, you know, it's on the day, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it really is. It's grand final spot up for grabs, and nothing else left now for the loser. So it's all to do, and I've no doubt it's going to be a fiery clash because we've got the first line out.
As you mentioned 2 weeks ago, it was Beaches who got the job done, 20 points to 19. As Email ducks the head and burrows forward inside the Beaches 22. Here is Simmons, short to mention, who has the league background, has been playing lower grades for Wanderers this year. Came in after Cal McDonald received a 2-match suspension for his 5th yellow card. Ben Ham into the line.
Good strong run there from Ben Ham.
Former Anderson medal winner himself. Here's Leland Marshall. Now McKillop.
Certainly a promising start here from Wanderers. They're pretty clinical at the moment.
Sherwood out of Simmons. Very similar start to the start last week that they had Wanderers. They were on the attack for much of the opening 10 minutes. Here's McKillop. Just got his head through the line there. And Beaches... No, Wanderers are still going to have possession. I thought Beaches may have come up with it. Here's McKillop. About 10 metres away from the goal line at the northern end of number 2 Sports Ground.
Oh, he's a bit isolated there.
Jackson under pressure.
Oh, did well to get that back.
It was a good push from Beaches. But Sherwood at the back. Marshalling the troops. Here's Christensen. Pushed away from Delore momentarily. Sherwood goes wide. That's been put down by Dompkins. Be disappointed there, Reece Dompkins, because they were looking good, the Wanderers. They just ran out of room on this near side of the ground, and Beaches will get a relieving scrum, but they're still under pressure territorially.
Ben, this is my favourite time of the game, mate, the first scrum.
Love the first scrum.
As you can see from my face, I've hit a few, mate, so I always get excited this time. But a good start there from Wanderers. They're they've got to play this patient game and try and wear the Southern Beaches side down in this first half, and I've no doubt they're going to have a bit of a crack here 5 metres out from the line.
Beaches have been in good form of late. They've only lost one of their last 6. That was last weekend to Hamilton, 27 points to 10 in the major semi-final. And in that period, that 6-match period, they've beaten the Wanderers and Hamilton. So they've been in good form. As I said earlier, they've beaten the Wanderers twice this season in 3 matches.
That's a good scrum there from Wanderers.
Very powerful scrum from the Wanderers. They were great last week in all of the set-piece departments. A clearance from Varka.
Sure.
Well taken.
Yeah, it was well taken. That was a difficult kick to catch.
Here is Tim Marsh. He was wearing 14 last week. He's in 11 now. Gets it wide to Rowney. He's been a try-scoring machine for the Wanderers this year. He's driven over the sideline.
That's good defence there from Southern Beaches. You don't want to give Tim Marsh too much space. He's got a quick set of heels in him, but they did well to shut him down there.
So the big news for Wanderers is that Billy Coffey, he's over in Fiji at a wedding, and George Ashworth, who was on the bench last weekend, he came off the bench in the huge win over Maitland.
Southern Beaches, number 15's 13, number 13's.
Yeah, I know Billy Coffey's a big loss, but this season it requires you to have a squad. That's a good line out off the top there from Beaches.
Relieving clearing kick will go down to Tim Marsh. Simmons.
Careful here, a little bit isolated. Yep.
Now Ashworth. I mentioned he came off the bench in that 59-5 win over Maitland, where they scored 8 tries, the Wanderers. They were dominant. And the scrum was probably their best department of the set pieces
good
last
run
weekend.
there from Leland.
Yeah, great run from Marshall. Sherwood now to Simmons. It was a flat ball to Jackson, who was diving into the line to catch it, and he did well to hold on to it. McCormack
good
gets the
offload
flick
there.
Pass to Tim Marsh. We know of his speed.
Oh, he's got some
away
speed.
again.
He's got
Tim
someone
Marsh.
on the inside.
Can he look inside? He does. He finds McCormack. Trying to
he's in foot in touch.
But he is a speedster, isn't he, Tim Marsh?
Yeah, I know I said it just before. You can't give him too much space. He'll round you out and he'll make you look sillier. But fortunate there for Beaches, a little foot in touch, so a bit of a let off.
Yeah, 5 minutes gone, and the Wanderers so far with the better territory, even though they are running into the wind. And it is a stiff breeze coming from the west-northwest. So it's more across the ground, but just slightly at the backs of Southern Beaches in this first half.
This is where Beaches will look to dominate, certainly in close in the pick and goes.
May have seen a flying boot there. Someone's lost a boot. Here's a strong run from Ali Falongo in 25.
Oh, good hit.
Gibson into the line.
Oh, good strong
Drives
run
the legs.
there
It
too.
was a good run because he was met by some strong contact.
Oh. Yeah.
Really strong defence this from the Wanderers. Delore goes wide and finds Mika.
Yep.
Penalty goes the way of Southern Beaches. A relieving penalty too. They're going to get some possession down the two Blues end of the ground for the first time in the match.
Yeah, certainly Southern Beaches indicating that they're going to stick to what they do best, which is use the big runners and try and really just beat down this Wanderers defence and see if they can create some holes and some offloads. So pretty same, but a little bit different, I suppose, from the Beaches. They're against the wind, so the big breeze, so still looking to keep it in close and work hard. That's a good kick too for touch.
Steve, I want to ask you as well as about the Wanderers playing here at number 2 Sports Ground, their home ground in the regular season. They've lost just twice here this season. How important is that advantage?
Oh, it certainly is, but I suppose you can let it, affect your preparation if you were against them, or you can use it to your advantage. There's no doubt Wanderers training here all the time would have a distinct advantage as to, that looks like it might be skewed. No.
And allowed to go by Farah. But it's a great facility, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic, and they're very fortunate to be able to use it.
Came back to Pete Madden, who is in the side, playing at 5'8" after that injury to Michael Delore. He was injured in that win that Southern Beaches had over Wanderers, 20 points to 19 in the qualifying final. Ali Falongo.
Some good hard work been done there from the Southern Beaches front row.
Driving it forward. Finally, he's brought to ground. And he may have spilled it there.
I don't know whether he was held up there or if he's knocked it on forward, but either way, good. They'll be pretty happy with that, Wanderers. A good defence there, but as I said, there's some really good work being done there from the Beaches front rows and gaining small metres, but wearing down this Wanderers defence all the same.
He'd be a tough man to hold up, wouldn't he? Yeah. Very tough.
Yeah.
If they have held him up, they've done wonderfully well.
Yeah, he's a big man, there's no doubt about it.
So Luke Sherwood, who was meant to retire after last year's grand final defeat against Hamilton, but he was going to go back to the lower grades instead. He's back in the number 9 and one game away from another grand final.
Yeah, it's the league's littered with little comeback stories, isn't it? With Pete Maxwell at Hamilton and Luke Sherwood, and it's I think the old head sometimes brings a bit of a stability into the side that sometimes is lacking with the younger guys. So I've no doubt Luke probably fulfills that role as well.
Had a decent turnover of players as well in the off-season Wanderers. Got 3 new boys in this year from the UK. Email as well from Canada, all around the world.
Very metropolitan. That's a good scrum there from Wanderers.
Here's Simmons. Now to Mention. Into the line, Luke Mention.
They've got an overlap here.
There's Luke Simmons. I might come back to that. He's just dragged down by Pouter. Sherwood now to Dompkins. Be interesting to see what Viv Parsi, the Wanderers coach, does next week with Cal McDonald if they make the grand final, Wanderers.
Yeah, that's
will he bring Cal McDonald back in, or will he leave Mention in the side? Only if they win, though, he'll have to make that decision.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not looking too far in front of himself, and that's going to be an interesting call. And although I look at Hamilton have brought Steve Lamont and Pete Maxwell back in at final series after long layoffs, so sometimes these old experienced guys can do that role and just slot back in, but Viv's in a better position to make that call, I think.
Beaches, they were formed in 2007 and made their first grand final in 2014, so they're shooting for a second grand final ever, yet to win one. Here is Jackson, one of the men from the UK. Surely that was a skewed throw. It was straight into the bread basket of Christensen, but allowed to go. Here's Marshall. And now Sherwood to Simmons. Goes short close, to Email. Yeah. And it is forward. Brendan Farrer was Johnny on the spot there.
Just overran it a bit. And
Southern Beaches with another scrum feed. Who do you feel comes into this match with more confidence? I know Beaches have got the better head-to-head record over Wanderers this year, but last week, a disappointing showing against Hamilton, and Wanderers got their confidence up big time with that huge win over Maitland.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to say Wanderers would probably feel that they're timing it a little bit better. Southern Beaches, don't get me wrong, it's a semi-final, and from what we can see so far, that they're in this game and they're certainly not out of it. But before game kickoff, I think Wanderers would have felt certainly a lot better about their preparation so far, and their squad availability as well, which plays a big part in it.
It's always a tough one, isn't it? That psychological boost, you know, I know if you don't make it through to the major semi-final, it's a disappointment, but then if you're going to lose it, sometimes you're back to square one again.
Yeah, that's right.
So here's Beaches, the pick and drive from Lanzini. Up over the halfway line.
Certainly a very clear game plan at the moment here from Beaches, and it's working out pretty well for him so far. Here's
Delore out the back. Found Madden and now Pouter. It's the unload away. Not making too much ground here. Delore goes back to his brother Adrian, who just stabs a kick down. It's taken by Simmons, who defends at fullback, interestingly.
Yeah, they've got some space out here on the left. Oh,
Josh McCormack. Here he is out wide. Rowney.
Yeah, oh.
With the kick well charged down there by Lachlan Wade.
Yeah, there's a knock on there somewhere, I think. But, yeah.
Well, it's getting a little bit scrappy. Ali Falongo now to McLean.
Oh.
Puts the head down. It's an attempted strip in there from Marsh. He was trying to reef the ball out. And Ali Falongo straight back over where the ruck had formed before. Delore.
Oh.
There's a little bit of a tug there.
Yeah.
They weren't clearing away. And it will be a penalty to Beaches. So a chance for them to put some real pressure here on the Wanderers.
Yeah, they'll be a little bit disappointed with that, Wanderers. They're defending really well, and just a silly little stray hand give away that penalty and lets Southern Beaches off the hook to a certain degree. Going for touch.
So, Steve, what do you think's behind this last-minute move? Adrian Delore has gone to outside centre. James Varker to fullback. Is there going to be? Am I reading too much into that?
No, I think from what I reckon, he's probably trying to get Delore outside, give him some space in outside centre, rather than have him going into heavy defence from Wanderers and see if he can free him up a bit. That would be my assumption, but I'm sure Johan probably has a different opinion on it.
Johan Lourens, the Southern Beaches coach from South Africa originally. It's Delore, Poesi.
No, it's a good
driven back. He's a big man, is Tim Poesi. Great strong contact from the Wanderers. Lanzini with the step. Delore out the back for Madden. Now the pass to Pouter.
He's a strong man to put down. He's pretty strong on his feet, but he's let that ball go a bit cheaply, and there's a bit of space here, and I think it all depend on the Wanderers' chase here, which looks pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, here's Varker. Takes his time and just launches one back towards the Wanderers fullback. And now McCormack finds Simmons. There's some space out here. It's to Ryan Jackson.
Oh.
It's the ball up and over the top. Ashworth has to go back, and Adrian Delore, well, he didn't miss him. He smashed George Ashworth into the turf.
Oh, he's done well to get that ball back, because he was Ryan Jackson just pick and go. Might be a little bit isolated here, but no, he's done all right.
And I'm sure George Ashworth is still feeling the effects of that as McCormack out in front of Marsh. Maybe it thought potentially Beaches were going to run over the top there with some powerful drives, but it will be a Wanderers penalty.
Yeah. Relieving kick here for Wanderers. It certainly opened up the last couple of minutes. A bit of running and loose kicking, but this kick, I'm sure, will settle Wanderers down and obviously get deep into their territory and have another attack here somewhere down the line.
It's been a real arm wrestle, hasn't it? No score just after the quarter-hour mark.
Yeah, it's a good way to describe it, man. It's an arm wrestle. It's been going back and forth a little bit.
If you're looking territorially, I would probably say Wanderers just marginally, but it's been very, very even. Simmons At the back behind McKillop.
Oh,
and here is mention on to Marsh, and now McCormack. Scored a double last week against Maitland to Josh McCormack.
Oh, and
they've got the advantage for a high shot, I believe it was, on McCormack. Here's Sherwood to mention. He hits the hole nicely, Luke mentioned, but he was brought to ground, and Brendan Farrer is going to come back, and there could be a card here. I'm thinking for certain there will be a card for the high tackle.
Yeah, we're talking about this before, Ben, weren't we, at the letter of the law, and I think strictly, if there's any contact with the head, it's a yellow card. I'd like to see a bit of discretion come into it, but I think to back the ref up there, I think it's he's refed it to the letter, not necessarily whether it was worthy of a yellow. I'd question that.
So Powter is going to be sitting in the chair, the dreaded chair, for 10 minutes on the touchline.
And of course, any of these yellow cards now are pretty important going in. And, you know, if Southern Beaches are to move forward, you know, it looks like, he might find himself in trouble anyway.
He's had, from what we're just having a look at, we think he's had 3 this season, so a 4th.
He might find himself sitting out of the grand final, even if Beaches make it, which would be a massive blow.
So the Wanderers with the one-man numerical advantage here.
Yeah, they've 8v7 here in the scrum, so Southern Beaches want to be careful they don't give away a few penalties here at the scrum time.
It was an issue for Wanderers in that previous match in the qualifying final. They had 2 men in the sin bin at the one time. And in that match they received 3 yellow cards. Beaches received just the 1 to Mitch Gibson. So Filisone Powter is off for 10 minutes this particular week. It's taking some time to set the scrum. A tense feel about number 2 Sports Ground. Big moment in the match here. Simmons now to Rowney.
Oh, he's
Rowney
slices with a bit of space.
them. We know how lethal he has been this season. The Wanderers' leading try scorer.
Oh, there's a
Sherwood
gap
space.
Here.
Tompkins hits the hole. Tompkins. He's almightily close.
Held up.
Brendan Farrer says there was some space between the ball and the ground.
This will be a very interesting scenario here now with the man down. Wanderers, I think, might fancy themselves here in the scrum. So Southern Beaches with decision to make whether they put that extra man in the scrum to try and shore it up, or
I think you've got to, don't you?
I think so. Yeah. If I was Southern Beaches, I'd certainly be looking at that option.
Take a gamble and say, well, if they score out wide, that's too good.
I'd agree with that. Bit difficult to see which way they're going at the moment, but
it looks as though they're going with the
6-man scrum, 7-man scrum.
Just have a quick scan. 3. It's a short arm to the Wanderers. Tompkins takes it quickly. Still going Tompkins. He gets the ball down, Reece Tompkins. And the Wanderers score first in the preliminary final. It's taken them a while, but it's an important try there for Reece Tompkins. 5-0 right on the halfway mark of this opening half.
Yeah, good try. I think just sustained pressure, and obviously that man down is just got Southern Beaches probably with 5-metre scrum. It's always a difficult one, and it probably just got them guessing. But well played, Wanderers. Good speed of the game, I think, has beaten Southern Beaches there.
He scored last week against Maitland. Did Reece Tompkins. He scored 4 this season with that one. He was at Manly last year. Reece Tompkins coming to the Wanderers this year. Been a good addition for them.
Yeah, it's a good competition, that Sydney comp. So any player that sort of makes a mark at that level certainly would come to Newcastle and have an impact, and he certainly has. He's certainly cemented his spot here in the Wanderers side, and as he just showed, he's certainly pretty quick on his feet, and he thinks pretty quickly, and hence Wanderers are up 5-0 with a kick to come.
This man has been superb this season. The leading point scorer in the NHRU, 236 points and counting. And there you go. There's the curse. There's the commentator's curse. He kicked 9 from 9 last week against Maitland. 8 conversions and a penalty goal. And he smacks that one into the crossbar, into the post, I should say, just as I give him a rap, as always happens.
He was sublime last week, wasn't he? He didn't look like missing, and you hope it doesn't prove costly, these sorts of misses in games, but time will tell, I suppose.
Here's Adrian Delort. An email. He was thinking about giving the pass back to Simmons. Decided it would be best to hold on to it. Jackson drives forward. Sherwood to Simmons. They've got plenty of space. Here is Rowney. And now Ashworth. Was the pass poor, or should have Ashworth grabbed hold of that? It was a little in front of him.
Fingertip stuff, wasn't it? Yeah, probably should have just been a little bit more generous with the pass, but certainly Wanderers looking to open this up and obviously spotted the gap there, and just maybe the execution wasn't quite there.
And that's what they did so well last weekend against Maitland Wanderers. They spun it wide and gave the Blacks plenty of headaches on the flanks. Brendan Farah thought he was going to have a chat there for a minute. So Watini.
Yeah, they certainly they need to be probably hurrying up.
Goes along with the line out, and Sherwood almost poached it there. Madden.
Yeah, a bit scrappy there from Beaches.
It was Mika with a little bit of a slip, but Poisi now charges into the Wanderers line. He may have turned it over. He has. But it will be a penalty.
Illegally.
Not clearing out, I believe it there. The penalty there to the Wanderers. To Southern Beaches, I should say. And the more time they can be in possession while Pouter is off the ground, that's going to be to their advantage, Beaches.
Yeah, they're certainly not in a rush to take this kick, and I would hazard a guess they're probably not in a rush to get to this line out either.
And if they do receive a penalty, you've got to think they're just going to take some time out of the match, line up for a penalty goal. So they won't want to give any cheap penalties away here, the two Blues. Not that you want to give penalties away at the best of times, but especially when your opponents are down a man.
No, you're right. You know, discipline is key, especially at these latter stages of the comp. And, you know, games are decided pretty narrowly most of the time, so... good line out there. Beautiful take.
Very well taken. And here's the driving maul from Beaches. It's a powerful one. Watini has the ball at the back.
Seems to be... there's...
Delort to Madden. Wide it comes for Wade. Stepped infield. He got driven to ground by Ashworth. The Wanderers fans felt it should have been a penalty. And it's been spilled there, and the Wanderers are loving that.
Yeah, I'd like to have another look. It was close. It was right on that edge, I think, between being pivoted. The
touch judge going to have a little chat here. I thought it was right on the borderline. I thought he probably... I thought it was probably fair enough that... Yeah, I think that's a good decision. I thought it was right on the borderline, and I thought I was going to give the benefit of the doubt to Ashworth there. I didn't think it went over the horizontal.
Yeah, I think, you know, you don't want to start becoming too meticulous when it comes to that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for player protection, but I don't think there was too much wrong with that.
Just a good, strong tackle in the end. So Powther still with a bit of time on the sideline. Shouldn't be too far away now. Probably a couple of minutes maximum.
Oh, another short arm.
Taken quickly by Dompkins. Now to mention.
Oh,
Dompkins, he was caught by Madden. Just having trouble to put the bigger man down.
Yeah, not 10, I think.
Penalty will go the way of the Wanderers.
Probably call for a scrum here if I was Wanderers. There's try and maybe get a penalty against the 6 or 7 man scrum some of the Beaches.
And if they don't win a penalty, then there's plenty of space out wide. We know of the speed of Tim Marsh, McCormack as well, Rowney, Mention.
They've certainly got a pretty dangerous backline when it's clicking, and I'm sure they're going to either try and get a penalty here at the scrum or try and give their backline some space to move.
So Powter is just seconds away now from returning to the fray.
They've certainly beefed up the tight end side here on the Beaches with Pusey on the flank.
So Sherwood.
Yeah.
Goes to Mention. Out the back for Simmons.
Space.
Look at this space.
Oh,
to McCormack.
He's done well to hold on to that.
Speeding away McCormack. Now to Marsh. Still Tim Marsh. Can he get around his man? He did get away from him. He got away from Wade and he dives over the line.
Try.
A brilliant try from the Wanderers. Tim Marsh again. Too quick. And it's 10-0.
Didn't we say, you can't give them too much space, this Wanderers backline, and they've just shown how dangerous they can be, straight all the way from the 22, and what a blow there right before the yellow card for Southern Beaches comes back onto the field.
Yeah, McCormack, he summed it up perfectly, didn't he? Gave the ball on to Tim Marsh. He evaded his opposite number and then dives over in the corner. For the 18th time this season, Tim Marsh. Speaking of Josh McCormack, he scored 5 tries in 3 matches against Beaches this season. And he was very unselfish there, giving the pass to Marsh.
I don't know whether Johan would look to possibly bring VAR on. As I said, I'm at a bit of a loss as to why he's not on the field. He's so influential from a leadership point of view as well. They could certainly do with a little bit of tightening up at the moment, Southern Beaches, and a bit of leadership. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see VAR pretty soon, or if at half time.
It's a big kick, this one, for Luke Simmons. He wouldn't really miss 2 in a row. Just to make sure this lead goes up in 7s. Right against the touchline. Here he is, Simmons, into the breeze as well. And this one across the face.
Might have been a while since he's missed 2 in a row.
Very, I'd say it'd be a long time after last week, but there you go.
Yep.
10-0, Wanderers.
And the man back on, so Southern Beaches back to 15.
So Adrian Delore, he's been causing some headaches for the Wanderers defence this year. He scored 4 times against them with the kickoff. Well taken by email.
Yeah, might have had that turned over, but he's done well to,
Well, here's a big penalty going the way of Beaches. They've got the full complement back out there now.
Be interesting to see what Beaches do here, and I'd probably look at having a little crack at the touchline. But I think has he indicated the posts? Yeah, he has. Yep, he's going to see if he can get some points on the board 9 minutes before half time.
They led in the last match between the sides in the qualifying final. Wanderers at the break. It's pretty comfortable. They're up 14-3 before Adrian Delore scored right before half time in that match. And it will be Delore to line this one up. He's taking... he's taken the goal-kicking duty since his brother Michael left the park against Wanderers 2 weeks ago injured. He left at half-time. Michael Delore, a huge blow for them.
Not an easy kick this, Ben, so you'd be doing well to get this, I think.
To reduce the deficit to a converted try.
Oi.
It's high. And George Ashworth, it was well wide from Adrian Delore. Now, are under a little bit of strife. You sense potentially, was it a ploy from Beaches, that kick from Delore? And it will be...
It looks like Southern Beaches might have the ball here.
They do have possession. Huge chance here.
Yep, penalty.
For Beaches, they do get the penalty.
Wonders want to be careful here. They might get the cheese out.
Do they back their scrum here? Southern Beaches. Martin Delore wants to get on with it. He does. He goes to Alabongo, and Jackson got barreled out of the way by the huge front rower. And there goes some headgear. Here's Poesi. Low. He tried to burrow over the try line.
Isn't this a big moment
Ali
in the game?
still going. 8 minutes before half time as well. And Lanzini gets picked up and back slammed. Here's the drive from Gibson. He's gone almightily close. Mitch Gibson, and it's another penalty. They're going to have to be careful, the Wanderers. He's going to stop play Brendan Farrer, and is there going to be a card coming out? He's just going to have a chat to Luke Simmons. I'm thinking another infringement from the two Blues, and they'll be down a man.
Yeah, certainly could be, and I'd be more inclined to probably have a crack at the three here if I was Southern Beaches. It's a bit easier kick, and certainly I think they want to wait and see what the decision is here, whether they're going to be against. Looks like they're going to keep 15 men on the field there, Wanderers, for now.
It is a much easier kick for Delore than the one he attempted previously.
Yeah, signalled the posts.
And it will be a shot at goal. So you've got to hope he throws this one over for sure.
I reckon I could get this one, mate.
Yeah. James Varker with the ball in hand. So maybe it will be James Varker to take the penalty goal. It will be. The former Lakes United Rugby League player. He played in the 2015 Grand Final winning side. He actually scored a try in that Grand Final, one of the quickest tries in Newcastle Rugby League history, inside the opening minute from the first set Lake scored that afternoon. Yeah. So here he is, James Varker, wearing 15. That is a nice conversion, straight between the sticks. So Delore obviously feeling like his kicking boots are not on today.
Yeah, I don't know whether you might have hit the nail on the head there with that previous kick, Ben. Maybe it was a little masterstroke coaching ploy.
Yeah, so James Varker, just his third kick at goal, or third successful kick at goal this season. He's kicked 2 conversions, and that his first penalty goal. Interesting. The third choice kicker behind Adrian Delore, Michael Delore. He's coming back is Poesi, who just left it for Mika in the end. May have just handed it to him.
Yeah, I think that's come through from the touch judge. Might have been a slight knock on into Poesi there, I think.
And momentum goes back the Wanderers' way. I know it's easier in hindsight, Steve, but you look back and go, well, should have they tried to go for the try down the other end of the ground?
Yeah, as you say, though.
I know it was a gimme 3 points.
Yeah. It's a tough one, isn't it? I think if...
Do you keep the pressure on?
Yeah. It's and you know, it'll be all for nothing if Wanderers have a good backline move here and score under the posts, and maybe an opportunity missed, but as you said, hindsight's a great thing, isn't it?
So VAR, the Southern Beaches captain, is just strolling down the sideline. Maybe going for a warm-up here. Just chatting to the Wanderers medic, actually. So, interesting. Maybe some more mind games at play from the former Anderson medal winner.
I'm sure he's asking what's going on.
2-time Anderson medal winner. And that can play into the heads of Wanderers as well. You know, they think, about wasn't he starting, and all of a sudden you think that and you're not focusing on the match. So
totally, and that's the job of the coach, is to not even really entertain it, just focus on your own game. And I'm pretty sure Viv would have had them pretty tuned in pretty quick to that announcement, if they made that announcement to the team.
Crucial 4 minutes coming up here.
Yeah,
Beaches, they need to hold firm, don't they?
Yeah, if you really feel that Beaches need to be pretty strong here in defence, because another Wanderers try here might see the end of them.
Here's Simmons.
Oh,
now
nice
to McCormack.
pass.
Lovely long ball to Ashworth. Does he have the pace to beat Varka?
Yeah, he's in.
Ashworth, does he get it down?
Yep,
he has got it down, George Ashworth. Replacing Billy Coffey this afternoon. He gets a try. 15 points to 3. The Wanderers lead now.
He had a fair bit of work to do there, and as we said, if we have a look at the replay, this pass here is beautifully timed in between, and the big looping pass, give him a little bit of space and just going a bit too high, and again probably gave him too much space. Probably should have moved out to the wing, but hindsight again is an easy thing. You thought that ball might have been going closer.
He did well, didn't he? George Ashworth, he had a bit of work to do.
It's a big blow here for Beaches right before half-time. They really probably need to come out and give it the roll for this 2 minutes and see if they can get something else on the board here before half-time.
We're going to get the perfect view for this conversion from Luke Simmons.
They certainly haven't made it easy for him today, have they?
No, they haven't. Right against the touchline, all 3 conversions. Now, this is an interesting one, because I'd say he would be fairly blocked from the breeze down there. It's just maybe just outside the edge of the grandstand, and it's from the west-northwest, so pretty strong from just to his.
That breeze might carry it a little bit as well.
You're just pretty much coming straight behind him, the breeze, so the ball may push across goal. We'll see if he accounts for that.
Oh, it's
and
a great
it does.
Kick.
That is a lovely kick from Luke Simmons. He did account for that breeze, didn't he?
He kicked that to perfection, really. It drifted across, carried across like we said it would, and he's obviously all over it.
And the Wanderers 17 points to 3.
We have seen Wanderers in control like this before and struggle in the second half, so I'm sure going into the sheds at half-time, I'm sure Viv will be not letting off this Wanderers side, and he's taken that ball again from the kickoff. He's done well.
I think Tom Email's caught just about every kickoff. Wanderers number 7 from Canada, as we mentioned. Simmons now to McCormack, who's straightened up. Mentioned getting in there as well.
That's a good strong run there.
There's Ben Ham.
Yeah.
And Beaches get a huge penalty
3,
here.
I think.
No, Delors going to go quickly. Gibson spins it wide. Got it to Lanzini. There is an acre of space out there, and charging was Sam Moss towards the corner.
This is more like it from Beaches. They're certainly going to need to try and convert this pressure now.
There's Delors. Wasn't a great pass to Madden, but Ali Falongo has the ball in his hand.
Thought about the offload.
It probably wasn't a bad idea in the end. Another strong drive from Beaches.
Oh, good counter ruck there from Wanderers. Oh, they've given away the penalty, but...
As here's Powter. Now to Varka. Very light on his feet, James Varka. He's spinning
he's lost
like
that.
a top. The ball comes out. Has gone backwards, according to Brendan Farrar. Powter. Here's Delors. That was great work from McCormack, but the penalty will go the way of Beaches
Might
here.
see someone in the bin here.
We're into injury time in the first half.
It'd be interesting. I think, again, I'd have a feeling that would be very marginal. I think he timed his run pretty well, but Brendan Farrar obviously having different ideas.
Will there be a card here?
Yeah, I think he's probably had to go to the pocket here.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a card here because McCormack is pleading his case. And it looks like he's pleading it very strongly. And it may be falling on deaf ears here.
I'd be interested to see the replay because I think what they're saying is
Here he goes to the pocket.
the
and out
halfback
comes the card.
had picked the ball up and had actually held it for a fair while, and he's come through and tackled him, but
And the Southern Beaches fans letting the Wanderers fullback
calling the
know
scrum
about
here.
that.
you fancy this will be the last chance saloon here for the Beaches to get some points on the board for this half.
Former Maitland player Josh McCormack has been a star for the Wanderers this year.
Be interesting to see what Southern Beaches do here, whether they're going to give this backline a run or try and wear down this Wanderers pack. It's a good shove there from Wanderers.
So Delore at the back. They scored just before half-time in the last meeting here between these sides 2 weeks ago. Can the Lightning strike twice? Pouter to Poesi. There was some space there for Tim Poesi. He's 5 metres from the goal line.
Oh,
Ali Palongo thought
had to be a little bit of
obstruction there.
Obstruction, but it's a turnover ball here by the looks of it.
Again, the Wanderers. Strong push from them. Sherwood over the touchline. Is that all she wrote for the first 40 minutes? It is. Great defence right on half-time from the Wanderers. Interestingly, this season, when they've scored more than 20 against Beaches, they've gone on to get the job done. They've only done that once. And the two last matches they've met, Wanderers have scored 14 and 19 points. So they're on 17 here at half-time, which gives them a huge chance of making it through to the preliminary final based on those statistics. So half-time here at number 2 Sports Ground. It's Wanderers 17, Beaches 3. Steve, I just want to get your final thoughts on this first half.
Yeah, it's been a bruising first half, and I think Southern Beaches will be a little bit dejected. The Wanderers have really soaked up a lot of Southern Beaches pressure, and they've come out with the big runners as they normally do and close, and they're certainly making ground, but Wanderers probably, I would have to say, deserve this lead at the moment. They've been pretty clinical, and bar a few errors, have been really potent out wide and soaked up that in close hitting up from Southern Beaches. So all for Southern Beaches to do in the second half, and Wanderers really need to tie this game up pretty soon if they can, and put Southern Beaches to bed and start thinking about a grand final possibly next week.
Next week. All right, well, we will take a break for 10 minutes and be back shortly. It's Wanderers in control at the moment, 17 points to 3 over Southern Beaches. Welcome back to number 2 Sports Ground for the second half of the preliminary final of 2017 Southern Beaches. To kick us off from right to left in this second half, they'll be running into the breeze, although it is coming mostly across the ground. Brendan Farrar just about to get us underway in the second 40 minutes. The final 40 minutes for one of these sides this season. The other will go on to meet Hamilton in the grand final next Saturday. And Delore gets us underway. And status quo is resumed because Tom Email has taken the kickoff, and Wanderers.
He's certainly getting some catching practice, isn't he?
Steve, do you think Beaches can get back into this contest? They were down at half-time 2 weeks ago, but 2 weeks ago it wasn't this big a deficit.
Yeah, do you know... yeah, well, there's a good start there for Beaches, and again, against the run of play, I'd have to say, and it'd be interesting to see if they do take the 6 points here and get them to 11 points, but now they're going for the line-out, and this will be interesting. Isn't it great, though, that you can watch us on Bar TV and anywhere, and a little shout-out to under-9s half-back in Hawaii who's watching this. Little Archie Clifford will be sitting there cheering on the 2 Blues with his dad, Johnny.
What's the time in Hawaii at the moment?
Oh, I'm sure it's well past his bedtime. Get to bed, Archie. You've been told.
Beautiful part of the world. I haven't been there, but yeah, I've seen plenty of photos.
Yeah,
I will get there at some point.
Interesting here from Southern Beaches, obviously going straight back onto attack. That's a great line out too.
Lanzini again. He's a man mountain. Ali Falongo. He's also a mountain.
He is a big man, and at pace he's hard to put down.
Here's Mika. Can they get their first try of the afternoon?
Ooh.
Wanderers have been so difficult to break down so far this afternoon.
Oh, good defence there from Wanderers.
They just continue to defend strongly, trying to power over Beaches. Couldn't get over on that occasion. Delore turns it back inside. They're centimetres away.
Wow. They've got space here.
Goes wide. Yep. Plenty of space. And Jackson McLean dives over next to the post. And Beaches are right back into this one after half-time.
What a response from Beaches. They've come out firing 3 good runners in a row. They had the big fellas taking the ball up and then gave them the back line, and space just opened up. Great try.
Well, you could have driven anything through that gap. Jackson McLean perfectly opened up for him. And what a day to score your first try of the season. Get off the nudie run.
Oh, what a... yeah, nobody... Well, front rowers tend to be showers. Growers, not showers, mate. So we tend to like to get that try out of the way.
Well, last week we had a funny moment where Ben Ham basically spilled the ball. All he had to do was catch it and score. He hasn't scored this season, and
maybe he's a chauvinist, mate. He likes to show it off. I don't know.
He likes it. So James Barker has kept the kicking duties. Why wouldn't he? He's 100% this afternoon, and he
great response
record.
Great response from Southern Beaches there, coming out of half time. Perfect. They'll certainly be buoyed by that. Wanderers will need to take stock and certainly try and get back to their game plan, which they implemented really well before the half.
Especially, that'll give them confidence, especially after the first half. They found it difficult to break through the Wanderers. The Wanderers were so stout in defence. And now they've breached them right after half-time. And now there's just a converted try in it. So the Wanderers skipper Luke Simmons to get us back underway.
Oh, they let that bounce.
And Delore says, let's get out of here.
Yeah, they'll be all right with that, Wanderers. They're line out attacking options here in the Southern Beaches half.
And still no sign of Tale Lever. He's just moving his arms about on the bench, standing up. Getting the blood moving. Sherwood. Now to Dompkins. Puts the head down. He's got Rowney there driving.
Well to get that back.
Ensuring he went to ground. Simmons now to the Englishman.
And Jackson.
Ryan Jackson.
Strong run again. Oh.
And potentially almost intercepted there
Wow.
by Southern Beaches.
When that made things interesting.
They would have gone within 2
We got a
points.
knock on first, I think.
And they raced all the way to score. And it was a little knock on, yeah, from the attempted intercept from Beaches. He was looking to regather, thus no yellow card.
Yeah, he's lucky that the ball did pop up in the air, because if it had gone straight to ground from the tap, he probably would have been a deliberate infringement there. But yeah, ball popping up in the air, and that a second attempt to change the decision there, I think. And we just remind you that Wanderers are still a man down in the bin, so
yeah, still down to 14, I should say. Josh McCormack sin bin just before half time. It was a contentious one, that one.
Yeah, it's not, you can't change it now. They've just got to learn to come back and readapt. But yeah, I'm sure they might have another look at it after the game.
So a bit of a scrum lecture taking place here, courtesy of Brendan Farrer. And here comes the change on the bench. It's Talaliva. VAR Talaliva is about to come onto the ground.
Yeah, he's having a long chat here, the ref, and not really sure what it's about. He seems to be talking more to Southern Beaches than he does to Wanderers, but
as this scrum is taking a while to set, we may finally get it here.
Wanderers won't be too upset. It'll be not the time for the extra man, but
who do you feel is going to come off? Are you thinking Tim Poisi is going to make way?
I think so, yeah. I think that's just a natural selection, and I've no doubt we might see Tim back on later in the game as a front row sub. We finally get this scrum underway. And
penalty goes the way of the Wanderers. They collapse their Beaches.
I think a little bit of 50-50 there. It's a tough, as a front rower, that's a tough call. You don't really know most of the time who's dropped that, but he's certainly not looking too good after that scrum. It's taken a while to come to, and maybe there was something in it.
Yeah, Ali Falongo not in a good way. And VAR heads out onto the park.
He's done a good job here today, and he won't want to be coming off. He's been really good taking the balls up and was instrumental in the try straight after half time. So
yeah, so it will be Michael Ali Falongo. Maybe not in the script for him to come from the park, but after that injury in the scrum.
Yeah, I think he's indicating blood, but I don't know whether that's just a straight substitution or not. And certainly mixing it up, this Wanderers line out.
Here's Ben Ham. He's been pretty quiet this
That's
afternoon. Sherwood, email. It was low. He took it well.
Well, yeah. Certainly looking at that wraparound ball, aren't they, Wanderers? Oh, space out wide here.
Big Dave Waller now into the line. The ball spills out. Maybe some space out to the right for Beaches, and they've turned it over now. And the first knock on from the Wanderers. So we will say a scrum feed go the way of Southern Beaches. Just getting a little scrappy here.
Yeah. A few oxygen breaths taken in there. I think it's just getting a little bit scrappy, as you said, Ben, and I'm sure the players just taking this little bit of time to try and catch their breath.
Just what Beaches would have wanted. An error from the Wanderers.
Again, pretty important, I think, for Wanderers here to keep their discipline and not give away a penalty here at the scrum, and still deep in the Southern Beaches half, and I'm sure they still want to play it down this way.
So that scrum dead even. The total opposite to last weekend for the Wanderers, where they just absolutely ran roughshod over the Maitland scrum. Was kept in by Simmons. Here's Marsh. McCormack back out there, or almost back out there for the Wanderers. He's just stalking the touchline, about to be let back on. Marshall now.
Good pick and drive there from Marshall. Oh.
Here's McKillop with the head bandage. All of two with the tape.
Dave Wallet with a good take.
Simmons tried to step away from Pouter, who met him with a powerful tackle.
Want to be close. Want to be careful.
It was a little, probably not high enough for a penalty. It was up there. Sherwood.
Dart there from Sherwood. Oh.
Started through. Was it worth giving the unload to McKillop? Just didn't have full control of the ball, did he? Luke Sherwood for the unload, and in the end it breaks
hindsight
down.
though, if it had gone to hand and under the sticks, it might have been the option. But I'm with you, Ben. I think maybe should have just taken that into contact and recycled. A few Southern Beaches players taking a knee, and I think we've seen Wanderers restored to 15 men, I think.
Calamiti heading out there now in 18 for Beaches.
Certainly Beaches making some early substitutions, obviously looking to add some impetus into this half and try and get this Wanderers pack moving now and muscle up.
So 7 points, the difference between the sides. It was 17-3 at half-time.
The game's lost a little bit of its oomph for the last 5 or so minutes, but
just a lot of stoppages, haven't there? There's just been a few in the last 10 minutes since half-time. Since really the try for Beaches is Delore. That's a great kick. And Simmons is having to turn around, and he too just skews that one.
Southern Beaches will be happy with that. It's their line out in Wanderers territory. Disappointing
kick there from Simmons because he had no pressure on him and it just sliced off the side of his boot.
Yeah. But looking at that touch judge's flag on the far side, he might actually be into a bit more of a breeze than we give him credit for.
Have a look at my weather data here.
Taken really well. In the end.
Well, the breeze has swung further to the west. Here is VAR. It's about 25 kilometres an hour across the ground, directly across from the west. So not favouring either side now.
Did well to get a quick ball there, and they've got some options here now.
Pouter Jinx inside. Benham rolls him to ground. Delore. Short he goes to Calamiti. Another good drive.
Good counter-rucking there from Wanderers.
And the Wanderers and Sherwood immediately goes wide from McCormack onto Ashworth. George Ashworth showing a clean pair of heels.
Now.
Still going Ashworth. Can he get the ball inside the dead ball line? I don't think he grounded it. George Ashworth.
To see what comes of this. 22, I think. I think they've... again, Wanderers showing how dangerous they are on quick turnaround ball, and...
They got back to ground at Beaches just in time because Ashworth was bearing down on the ball.
Yep. Oh, it's great scramble defence from Beaches, no doubt, and I'm sure they'll be relieved to see the ball back in the Wanderers half.
Here is Ashworth again, just thrusting it infield. Picked up by Email, who got ahead up of steam, ducked his head and burrowed through the line. Sherwood now. Was there a little knock on there? Dompkins Well, there is a knock on there from Reece Tompkins. Try scorer in the first half. The opening try scorer this afternoon, Reece Tompkins, but he couldn't handle the ball there. Delore now. So his brother sits up for Madden. Here is Martin to Adrian Delore. He looked left and right, went right.
Well, I think there's a knock on there.
Yep,
and
definitely.
Again, Wanderers on the counter-attack. They've got to be careful here. They don't get stretched for numbers out on the left.
And there was no advantage there for the Wanderers, so we're going to have another scrum feed. Let's take a breath for another couple of minutes.
Yeah.
We may have another lecture here.
And looking down towards the Wanderers bench, I think we might be having a few changes themselves, and it's like Walsh might be coming on in the front row. And
he's had some injury issues, hasn't he, Blake Walsh? Out last year with a knee injury for much of the season.
Yeah, he's
2 games this season for him.
He is a quality player, and he's had some game time in the last couple of weeks, and I think obviously this is a view to giving him a little bit more as well, and see how he goes. But he can be a very good player. He's a very good scrummager, and no doubt he'll be itching to get out there.
Just going back to that break from Ashworth moments ago, the important part of all of that was the wide ball, the wide early ball from Luke Sherwood. Saw the opportunity, went wide straight away. Such a key man for this Wanderers side. Here he is again at the base of the scrum. Fires the pass to Simmons.
That's it.
Stabs the kick down, taken by Wade. And this ball looks like it's going to go over the touchline. Well, it's gone over the touchline, about 40 out from the Beaches goal line.
Yeah, right idea, I think, with that kick. Just slightly misdirected. I think it would have been slightly better to put it close to the touchline, but good result all the same for Wanderers. They line out now with the attacking options here.
Yeah, well taken by Christensen. Real tough one because the wind is coming directly across the ground, so it wasn't helping away there to keep the ball inside the line. Here's Ashworth with a good Jenkins step. I thought he was through, but well defended. Powter was there.
Oh, he got strong on his feet there, Brownie.
Crawling through. Now Sherwood. To Simmons. He almost hit Leland Marshall, but he hit Ben Ham instead. And Ham charged forward. Simmons. Wide they go. Mention. So the Wanderers get a head up of steam. They're just 10 metres away from the goal line. Sherwood. Now to Simmons. Flying up out of the line was Mika. He didn't get his man. Sherwood. Ben Ham. Tompkins, I should say. Tompkins still going. Can he get the ball down?
Held up, I think.
Wow. He's held up. I thought there was a little knock on there between Sherwood and Tompkins. At the back of the ruck there, I felt Sherwood knocked it on into Tompkins, and then he charged over the line.
I'd be with you on that one, Ben. I think you're right, and lucky probably to get away with that. We'd have to wait on the replay to have a look, but wow, so Wanderers just flicked the switch, haven't they? And certainly great line there from Ben Ham on that shoulder ball, and he picked a beauty of a line and nearly got over. Maybe he does want to do that nerdy run as we talked about earlier. Again, this is a perfect opportunity here for Wanderers. They've got a 5-metre scrum, options left and right. You feel this is a really big point in the game for me. And
just over 20 minutes to go, a 7-point gap. They really need to hold out the Wanderers here, Southern Beaches.
First job is the scrum, Ben, and after that we'll see what happens or unfolds.
A try here, and the Wanderers could be on their way to a 3rd straight grand final against Hamilton, a 4th straight overall for them.
I'd just like to see Southern Beaches keep a little bit of discipline. There's a lot of flying up out of the line and defence and creating these gaps. As I said, this Wanderers backline can spot them really well. So for me, that would be a big issue, and just to keep your defensive line and not lose structure. Again, they've got to deal with this Wanderers scrum first and then worry about that, I think, afterwards.
And we're going to have another reset here. Brendan Farron not happy with the scrum.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why Southern Beach just stood up there. Maybe just didn't get a good set. Maybe just playing the clever game and slowing it down a little bit, trying to get a bit more oxygen into the lungs. I'm not sure, but I'm sure we'll get the scrum here at some stage.
The final quarter of the match to come. Just over the hour mark now. The Wanderers yet to post any points in the second half. And Brendan Farrer is going to continue to have a little chat to both sides. We might have this scrum set by Christmas, Steve.
Yeah, it's not far away, mate.
It's getting closer by the second.
This is where the backs don't realise what the poor old front row and tight five are going through.
The backs are out there going, come on, let's get this game going again.
So I've done my hair now. I need to get the ball. It's a good scrum here from Wanderers.
Very, very good scrum from the Wanderers.
Be careful here, Beaches, and spin it because they'll give away a penalty try here in a minute.
Can Sherwood drive over the line? He's pointing Luke Sherwood. He tries to burrow his way under the black dot. He just couldn't get his way through the Beaches defensive line.
Coming very close. And
Ben Ham
got
picked
some
and
pretty
drove.
tired.
It's just a mosh of bodies in there at the moment.
Yeah.
Picked up by big Dave Waller. He's throwing players off everywhere, Dave Waller, and then he slams the football down.
Well worked try there from Wanderers. Really showed some really good patience, some really good scrumming, and yeah, I think, looking at that, the Southern Beaches just had nothing in reply to that, and it all started from the scrum, just wore them down, and Southern Beaches coming up from that scrum knowing they'd been in one, and
look at this, throwing off players left, right, and centre. He represented, in his junior years, he represented New South Wales in shot put, discus, and the hammer throw.
Oh, dear.
He was throwing some shot puts there, wasn't he? Throwing players off everywhere, Dave Waller. Dives over. 22 points to 10.
I think he does some insurance ads in his time as well, Captain Risky, but he might be moonlighting.
So Luke Simmons.
We've seen a change there from Wanderers as well, and yeah, big Marshall's come off and replaced by Walsh. So there's going to be no let up here for the Beaches in the scrum department, because as we said before, Walsh he's a pretty good scrummager, and I know you'll be wanting to make his mark out here today.
And they've been under pressure for about the last 10 minutes, Southern Beaches, and finally the crack appeared, and Dave Waller took full toll. Now let's be honest, Luke Simmons, he won't miss this, and it'll be a 14-point lead for the Wanderers.
Oh, what are you doing to him?
Here we go. Luke Simmons slots that one. You can't miss from there, surely.
You did that to break the curse, didn't you?
So knocks that one over. He's had a mixed afternoon with the boot.
Yeah, Wanderers certainly picked it up the last 10 minutes, Ben, and really sort of just shifted up a gear and really putting the Southern Beaches side under pressure. It'll be interesting to see how they come back now. There's a change, straight up.
So Dompkins, he was juggling that for a moment, and Beaches have the ball back here. So just what the doctor ordered for Southern Beaches. And now they get a penalty. So there are going to be a few changes made by Southern Beaches. Ben Moss is now walking up the touchline.
I don't think they want to be losing their heads completely. Right decision there. Go for touch. Set up the plays. Southern Beaches really need to just get back into a pattern of play and not buy into the... looks like Tim Poos has come off.
And Ben Moss out there in 21 now. So they really have to score here, Southern Beaches, don't they? Twice they've beaten Wanderers this year, and twice...
Oh, stolen.
They've got to 20 points. They're going to have to get more than 20 this afternoon. Will that prove a bridge too far? Good drive from Dompkins. Need to keep the pressure on. Back for McCormack. His kick with that strong
good pressure
westerly.
There
Strong westerly. It didn't make too much ground, did it? Just inside the 22.
No, really need to work on the discipline here, not give away the penalty at the breakdown, and just keep this pressure on Wanderers now and hopefully get a score within the next few minutes, because time is now against Southern Beaches. They've got to score 3 times to get the lead here, so it's all for Southern Beaches to do at the moment.
I just feel they need to get the ball wide here, out here to James Varker. I know Moss out here, but James Varker is an elusive character. And Blake Walsh, he almost poached it, but in the end, well, it's going to be a short arm. It's going to be a short arm for Southern Beaches.
Oh.
Is there a little knock on there? Allowed to go by Brendan Farrer and Ayopa Mika. Out in front of Gibson. He's going to be just 5 metres away by the end of this run. Here's Mitch Gibson.
Oh, yep.
Comes out for Delore. This is Martin Delore spinning his way towards the goalposts.
Oh, could be
a great drive here. Alafalongo is out there in 25. He's back out there for Beaches.
Held up.
He has been held up. Great defence again from the Two Blues. And that is one thing that has been superb for them this afternoon, Steve.
Oh, certainly. Bar the try that they scored in close, they haven't really been tested out to that degree, but their in close defence has been pretty amazing so far, and I don't want to put the commentators' curse on it, but it's certainly holding up.
And after their last scrum, they'll be confident going into this one, the Wanderers, so will be Sherwood to feed.
Oh, good scrum there from Southern Beaches.
Really good scrum from Southern Beaches. A surprise after the last.
It turned it over.
The last scrum was won so confidently by Wanderers, and it's going to be a feed the way of Beaches. Here we go. 13 minutes left in normal time. Big moment here for Wanderers in defence and Southern Beaches in attack.
You feel Wanderers taking their foot off the gas there a little bit, and all credit to Southern Beaches. And
do you think they got a little complacent after that last scrum?
Yeah, no doubt that's probably what's happened, Ben, but be interesting to see the reply now.
So Delore. They go quickly to flick past Delore, straight through. Martin Delore slices them, and Southern Beaches, they are back within 9, and they should be back within 7. It's a kick right next to the post for James Varker. Lovely little unload from Var. They've missed him so far this afternoon.
Yeah.
He gets a touch inside the 22, and he makes things happen, doesn't he?
He certainly set up that try, and he got that ball away, which was the key, and certainly opened it up for Delore there to go. And you fancy he's going to get this kick and game on again. Ben, we might have preempted it a bit too early again.
So James Varker, well, would you believe it? He has slammed.
That could be a critical miss, that.
Did he kick that too hard? He smashed that ball into the post.
I have to say, there was to be fair, there was also a pretty good chase there from the two Wanderers players. I'll have to admit I didn't catch who it was, but certainly might have put them off, and that's a pretty critical miss. That puts them 2 scores that they've behind still, so 10 minutes to go. That might prove costly.
Could prove very, very costly. And they'll need to be good here from the kickoff. Here is McCormack. The Breeze getting a bit stronger now. Here's VAR. The Jenkins step.
Don't think VAR was going to kick.
He shaped to kick, didn't he? Ali Falongo.
Oh.
An obstruction there from Michael Ali Falongo. Straight behind his own man.
That's a pity for Beaches there. That was a bit unlucky. I think we might see a kick for posts here just to eat up some more time. And yeah,
and that'll be the only reason, really, the kick at goal, because to go from 9 to 12 isn't going to change too much for Beaches. They've still got to score twice.
Yeah, I think, as we said earlier, I think time's against them now, Beaches. After this couple of minutes, and you assume that Wanderers will take possession back from the kickoff, so... Although we've seen easier kicks missed, aka the last conversion kick from Southern Beaches, so stranger things have happened.
2 from 4 this afternoon. The benefit is he won't have men charging at him for this kick at penalty goal, like Varka did. Taking as much time as he can, Luke Simmons. No mistake.
Yep.
And the lead pushed out to 12 now.
I think you've got to kick it in close here and try and give your forwards a chance to get this ball back.
Adrian Delore goes very high. Email misjudges one. It's been rare this afternoon that he's done that, Tom Email. May even got the sun in his eyes.
Yeah, he's been pretty solid there all day. And
Jackson.
Oh, had to be offside, I would have thought. There's numbers out wide here for Wanderers.
McCormack now to Rowney. Shaped. He ran straight and then got the ball wide to Tim Marsh. But it's taken by Delore, who toes it ahead. And it's looking like it's going to be too deep, and it is from Adrian Delore.
Things just aren't going right for Southern Beaches at the moment. I think it's a scrum back from where he kicked it. So, bit of a let-off there for Wanderers.
Was it the right move from Delore? If he puts the kick into the in-goal, probably say it's a great move, but in the end it was...
Wanderers obviously shown up in that last scrum. Certainly want to make it right here.
So Gus Locke is now on for Luke Sherwood, who has come from the ground. He's from the UK as well. He was the player of the tournament in the New South Wales Country Championships for the Colts. And he kicked that winning penalty goal for New South Wales Country to beat Queensland Country at the home of Southern Beaches at Ernie Calland Oval. He's had a season to remember. Gus Locke goes wide now to Simmons. On to Tim Marsh.
That's a great line there.
Through Tim Marsh. He is just too quick. He's got...
great tackle there.
Well, he had Varka to beat. He also had Ben Moss, and it was Moss who pulled him down, but the danger is not gone for Southern Beaches. Rowney out the back. Was it spilled by Locke?
I think there might have been a hand in it there from Southern Beaches, but they're still on the attack here if they can get it wide.
And they are going to play advantage, or Brendan Farrer is. McKillop into the line. Here is Sherwood. So Sherwood's still out there with Gus Locke, so an interesting move. Here is Ashworth. Can he get over again? George Ashworth. What an afternoon he's had. Wanderers seal a spot in the grand final now, and they will play Hamilton for a third year running.
It's heartbreak for Southern Beaches. They've done really well this season and worked really hard, and for large parts of this match were really putting up a good fight, but unfortunately now I think we can pretty safely say that it'll be a Wanderers Hamilton grand final next weekend.
Well, I was talking about how tough the decision was for Viv Parsi if they made it through to the grand final. I think we can say pretty confidently that the Wanderers will be there next week against Hamilton. A tough decision whether Luke Mention comes out and Cal McDonald goes back in. Also a tough decision as we see Ryan Jackson come from the ground. George Ashworth and Billy Coffey. Billy Coffey will be back next week.
Well, you know, it's interesting because Wanderers are probably at a fairly big disadvantage next weekend. They're the only side with a side in every grand final. So every side that they're going to come up against is going to have fresh subs, whereas it's going to be the opposite for Wanderers. So come the first grade game, you're going to have your subs, 7 or 8 of them, probably have played a full grand final themselves and dealing with that emotion and dealing with it, whether that be a win or a loss, having to come on and try and make an impact. Whereas Hamilton are primed really in a position where they've got 8 fresh subs, and I'm sure that's going to play a big advantage to them at come grand final day.
Here's Simmons.
Oh, great kick.
From the touchline, he's got his kicking boots on now. He started slowly. He pilots that one between the sticks from against the touchline on the eastern side of number 2 Sports Ground. So Delore, seems as though it's a lost cause now for Beaches. Maybe not.
Some quick ball here.
Comes across the line. Pouter. They're throwing the ball around now. They really have to.
Throwing caution to the wind now. I don't think it's going to do any harm.
Here's VAR. The pick and drive from Mitch Gibson. And charging through the line. What a run that was from Mika Ayapo.
That's a great response. Great response. I just feel that they've probably left it just a tad too late with a combination of Wanderers taking the foot off the gas. But, yeah, they've taken a quick kick but missed. I don't think Wanderers will be too keen to get up here and take this kick quickly.
So they'll still have to score 3 times. Southern Beaches with that misconversion. And they are going to take their time. George Ashworth just having a few words to say to Brendan Farrer. Didn't look too pleasant, so not quite sure what he was unhappy about there. Josh McCormack.
Should
He'd be brimming with confidence, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Come into the starting side and he scored a double.
As you said, that poses interesting selection problems next week.
Filling the big shoes of Billy Coffey. Up goes Mika. He went up with the knees.
Taken in the air.
And he was tackled in the air. Penalty goes Beach's way. Unfortunately, as you said, Steve, too little too late for them.
Yeah, I feel just a little bit. Stranger things have happened, but they'd want to certainly score in the next minute or so to have any chance.
Well, there goes VAR, driven backwards. I just can't help but think and wonder if he had have started the match, would it have helped Beaches a little more? It was an interesting move from Johan Lourens, the Beaches coach. Here is Ben Moss into the line. Now the run from Kelamete. Mika.
They're certainly not going down wandering Beaches.
They've rung the changes here. Ali Falongo, he goes over the touchline. It just hasn't been their afternoon. And history is going to repeat. Last year, Beaches beat Wanderers in the qualifying final and then lost to Hamilton in the major semi and then went down to Wanderers in the preliminary final. It's funny how history repeats.
Yeah, it's turned into a bit of a dynasty, can we say? Oh dear, bit of a balk throw there.
They had a good record, a little bit of back chat as well. They had a good record coming into this match, Beaches against Wanderers. They'd won 3 of the last 5 finals matches between the sides. Here's Delore to Gibson. Powter. Can they add a little bit more respectability to the scoreboard? Here's Gibson.
That's
a strong run from Mitch Gibson. Delore, has he spilled it?
They've got to be careful here, Wanderers. They don't give away yellow cards. That'll be...
It could hurt them next week, especially as you mentioned, with all grades in grand finals.
Yeah, they need all bums on seats, so to speak, but that would surely have to be their prime focus now.
Is Calamete, has he powered over? He's close,
penalty.
And it will be a penalty to Beaches as we near the last 30 seconds of regulation time here. And Brendan Farrer, he does hand out the yellow card. He's only just come onto the ground, Mark Sherwood. And he's off now, the brother of Luke Sherwood. He's had a distinguished career overseas in Northern Ireland and Edinburgh as well, Mark Sherwood, but he's not going to spend too much time out there this afternoon. Along the tarmac, just poking his nose through was Ben Moss.
That little gap.
Picked up by Delore. Ali Falongo. We know how hard he is to stop. He's just 5 metres away. Delore. Calamete now to Martin Delore. Varka. If he had gone wide, there was some space out there, but instead he goes back against the grain into the short side. And now Moss poking the nose through VAR, gets it away, and that sums up their afternoon, to be honest. Wade,
that probably sums up Southern Beach's day, I think.
And Lachlan Wade, he was through. All he had to do was catch the ball, and he couldn't hang on to the pass.
He was full time on the clock, Ben. I don't know how much time injury we'd have, but I don't think it'd be much.
A bit of cramp. It is Ben Ham there. Nice sportsmanship from Ali Falongo.
He's probably been there, done that as well. He's probably had a few cramps.
Knows the feeling. Yeah. Knows the feeling.
Mate, I reckon cramping those calves would be something else, I reckon.
And we'll see a scrum. Nick Cook is waiting on the touchline to go on for the Wanderers. Don't know if he will get out there. We'll find out.
Yeah, they want to finish it off here, Wanderers. They won't want to be have this scrum going a bit sloppy and then put under pressure. They want to really just end on a good scrum, clear this ball off the line, and have one eye on the grand final next year. Next week.
Here is Sherwood. They get into the line. He's out there playing at 5'8". Usually the fly half gust lock out there now. Christensen puts the head down. Lock goes flat to Douglas McKillop. And now the charge. Yeah, well, so took a little hand there. And over the touchline. And Brendan Farrer calls full time. And it will be a grand final three-peat. It will be Wanderers against Hamilton for a third year in a row. And the two Blues reach their fourth straight grand final. And for the second year in a row, they defeat Southern Beaches in the preliminary final after losing to them in the qualifying final. Full time here at number 2 Sports Ground. The Wanderers 34, Southern Beaches 20. And Steve Barretto, in the end, the Wanderers, they just took that momentum from last week against Maitland into this afternoon, and just too good for Southern Beaches.
Yeah, I think, they certainly weren't as clinical as they were last week, Wanderers, but they certainly hung in there and just ground down Southern Beaches, and in the end, just grinding Southern Beaches down and scoring a try and just putting that bit beyond them that made them chase the game. And yeah, I feel sorry for Southern Beaches. They are the underdogs, and they fight well above their weight, and it's just one step too far, unfortunately.
Next week, the grand final, Wanderers and Hamilton again. Can Wanderers end Hamilton's dominance, or will Hamilton do it 3 years in a row?
Oh, yeah, Hamilton have got everything going for them. You know, last years for their coach, Bubba Coleman, 50th year. Last game for Pete Maxwell. So they've got a lot of heartstring moments there that they'll be coming out of there. I'm sure they'll be pulling out. But makes her a good grand final, I've no doubt. And as we said, I think Wanderers are timing it nicely, so should really give Hamilton a good game next week.
But as we know, fairy tales, they don't always come true, so we'll find out next week if that is the case. So Gareth will be back next week. It's been a pleasure. From Ben Homer and Steve Barretto here at Number 2 Sports Ground. The Wanderers 34, Southern Beaches 20. We'll catch you next time here on Bar TV Sports.